Whoso pulleth out this sword from this stone and anvil is duly born king of all England. I don't need to tell you where that's from, right? You've heard this story. You know King Arthur, Camelot, Merlin, the quest for the Holy Grail. It's one of the oldest stories of its kind, an enduring legend with a touch of destiny. In every version, Arthur, or his analog, is the rightful king, and with his sword Excalibur, he leads his brave knights on countless adventures, all as it should be, as fate foretold. Arthur is, after all, the chosen one, the prophesied hero, the once and future king. He's more than just a hero. Fate is on his side. Achilles was also a chosen hero, as was Beowulf, and Harry Potter, and Neo from The Matrix, and Jesus Christ, and the Dalai Lama. You get the point. This is a pretty popular idea. It's got staying power. It sticks in the mind, sounds throughout the centuries, appears in works as far distant as the Norse Poetic Edda and Percy Jackson. Why then does it leave such a bad taste in the mind? When you realize that a character in a story you're reading is the chosen one, it's a little difficult not to roll your eyes, right? It's just too easy, too tired, too simple. But put yourself in that character's shoes for a moment. Imagine yourself the chosen one, and you'll quickly realize that it's a lot more complex and interesting than you might want to give it credit for. Okay, really quick, I just want to say that our next video is actually out already. You can watch it right now for free over on our streaming platform, Nebula. In fact, we release all our content there way before we release it here. There are actually a lot of things over there that we'll probably never release here on YouTube, like this video about why artists depict angels in the way that they do, or this one about one of the weirdest epic fantasy stories ever written. We even have a whole series over there about some of our favorite authors and why they make the things that they do. To see all the rest of Tale Foundry that isn't here on YouTube, go check out our Nebula channel at nebula.tv/talefoundry. Go ahead and watch our next video long before it comes out here on YouTube right now and get a leg up on the conversation. The first video you watch on Nebula is free, so why not? Okay, you are the chosen one. Your mentor figure just revealed the prophecy to you, and now it's time to embark on your predestined path. Fabulous. Just don't forget your inscrutable magical artifact that you'll know what to do with when the time is right. Oh, and of course, you can't go anywhere without a trusty animal companion, can you? And here, just to cross our T's and dot our I's, you should probably take this map that'll guide you right to the Dark Overlord's tower, where you'll finally satisfy the prophecy. All right, you're set. Now, off on your adventure. Fulfill your great destiny as no one else in the world could. Or, wait, actually, you know, this is looking oddly familiar, isn't it? Yeah, this is basically the same great destiny I've seen every other hero try to fulfill. Huh. I mean, I'd tell you to ditch the map and just chase your own MacGuffin, but destiny, you don't really get that choice, do you? Most of your journey has already been decided for you. You're just kind of part of the machine at this point, right? It can certainly feel that way. The Pevensey children are destined to take the throne from the White Witch and rule Narnia peacefully. Luke will restore balance to the Force. Link, time and time again, is called on to be the hero of every Zelda game. Certainly there will be some unforeseen hardships along the way, but, I mean, victory is pretty much a foregone conclusion for you, right? Which makes it very likely that part of your heroic arsenal is going to be the beloved, infallible, much coveted plot armor. Unless the story is a tragedy or a clever subversion, the chosen one is, you know, chosen. It's a cosmic dictate. If the thing is going to get done, and we can trust the alignment of the stars and the visions of the oracles or whatever it is, then we can assume our chosen hero is going to be the one to do it somehow. And okay, great for you as a hero, but it makes the tale just a little less riveting for us on the outside. The assumption of success can undercut a lot of the tension we might otherwise experience. At the very least, it's going to make your long-term goals a moot point and force our focus onto more short-term conflicts. And even during those, there can be an underlying sense that everything is going to be okay in the end. Again, comforting for you, but I want to see a genuine struggle. I want there to be legitimate room for failure. It makes your effort feel somehow nobler, more well spent. There are real stakes that way. And while we're at it, there's something else I need to address. Why you? Achilles, Beowulf, Arthur, even Neo to a certain extent. I understand all of them. I can see why they stand out, why they were chosen for this task. But chosen doesn't always mean appropriate, right? Especially when the method of choice is very hand-wavy and cosmic. Sometimes it just feels completely arbitrary. I guess this is how we end up with so many teenage heroes for the chosen task. Katniss Everdeen can shoot arrows good, I guess, but every major conflict in the world continuously revolving around her. Benefits of being a main character, I guess. And Harry Potter? Congrats on becoming the nexus of a complete accident of combined magical circumstance. Now I guess you, the most unremarkable person in the cosmos, are the best candidate to challenge a genocidal evil that not even the most powerful wizards have been able to confront. Wonderful. I guess there's a bit of fantasy to this idea. Making a hero out of someone who's more or less a blank slate can definitely be sort of sympathetic. That might be how you feel right now, standing here in the Chosen One's shoes. It can feel like anyone can change the world, which is a nice idea. Best-selling author and comic illustrator Scott McCloud describes this phenomenon with the phrase, neutral mask, which is essentially a way to convey a character which leaves who they are somewhat open to interpretation. Readers, he says, want to see themselves in other things. But the more realistic or detailed the drawing of a character gets, the fewer people can project themselves in that character. This even works with Mary Sue characters, who have a chronically hard time failing, even when they do nothing at all. If a character is just generally good at stuff and fortunate and attractive, they're still kind of empty. They have few defining features, except that things come easily for them. The reader may not be like that, but the mask is still neutral, and it's easy enough to write oneself over the top of their blaring blankness. But honestly, hero, I don't think that I would recommend trying to be either of these things. Whether you're unremarkable or flawless, one thing is likely to be true here. You're going to be boring. Probably. That's the risk you take in being a character so scantily defined that people can simply plaster their own face over yours. Don't you want to be more than an allegory for the everyman? Don't you want this journey to matter? Well, the good news is that despite everything I've said so far, I really think it can. Infallible heroes, blank slates, generic nobodies glorified by fate through a series of unbelievable chances. These do read like the markers along a rather boring path. But, perhaps, with the right treatment, these very flaws can make for a surprisingly interesting journey. Admittedly, heroics in general can get a little archetypal. A lot of people look to Joseph Campbell's critical framework, The Hero's Journey, as a sort of model for what this looks like. The hero leaves the world of the familiar, goes off into the unknown, experiences all kinds of challenges, and at last returns home forever changed and laden with precious treasures. Simple, familiar, and the beautiful part is that there's so much room for deviation. This model is sort of just a reflection of what usually happens in stories. For most heroes, and most people I suspect, the old idiom rings true. It's more about the journey than the destination. I mean, there must be some reason we've continued to tell the Chosen One stories for thousands of years, right? There has to be something more than simple convenience that's driving people to keep writing and reading these things. Okay, so now imagine yourself not only in the hero's shoes, but in their armor too. That sweet, shiny plot armor. A bit heavy maybe, but boy is it about to do you some good. So maybe your prophecy gives you a bit of an insurance policy, and maybe that can be a bit boring from the outside, but you can absolutely turn that into an advantage for us, your audience. Rather than stumbling haphazard through your adventure, coming out of every predicament unscathed because you simply ought to, you can capitalize on your cosmic indispensability. In the 2003 movie Big Fish, a young Edward Bloom sees his own death in the eye of a witch. Not quite the same as a chosen hero, but the knowledge of how and when he's going to die certainly gives him a similar guarantee. Throughout the movie, he continuously takes riskier, more dangerous paths because he knows they won't be the cause of his death. The knowledge enables him to have a far grander adventure than he otherwise would have. On this subject, there's a quote I love from the Norse myth Skirnir's Journey. In the story, the god Freyr calls his servant Skirnir to embark on an epic journey on his behalf. At one point, when denied the help of a herdsman, Skirnir says to him, "Fearlessness is better than a faint heart for any man who puts his nose out of doors. The length of my life and the day of my death were fated long ago." This is obviously a reference to the Old Norse concepts of fate and predestination, where the events and span of all lives have already been measured out by the Norns, the Sisters of Fate. But I think the idea applies nicely to you as well, hero. Rather than boring, the plot armor provided by this kind of predestination can actually empower you to try more interesting, unexpected things. It can enrich your journey. After all, if you know your fate, what is there to fear? Okay, you know what? That question is reductive. Fun, good, but reductive. Because destiny as plot armor or not, we really can't just treat being the chosen one as a blessing, can we? Although it might be clear to the storyteller and the audience, maybe you don't quite see it, hero. Not every chosen one is aware of their relative infallibility. They may not have the chance to see where their journey ends like Edward Bloom. And even if they do, that doesn't mean hardship and loss won't meet them on the way. Perhaps sometimes being fortune's special pet is not all sunshine and rainbows. That shiny, shiny plot armor begins to weigh on you. Not everyone wants the chosen one's mantle. Not everyone wants to bear the weight of that distinction. Some heroes even reject the call, or at least they try to, which I understand. It's a pretty big responsibility to do anything at all because the cosmos demands it of you, right? There's a lot of conflict inherent to the weight of a prophecy. I mean, look at you, hero. You didn't ask for this, but here you are, the one person who can save the day. Where do you start? What if you want to do other things with your life? What if you don't want to do the thing you're supposed to do? I mean, what if your prophecy isn't exactly a good one? Evil is relative, isn't it? One person's hero can just as easily be someone else's villain. I think of Atreides from Dune, who is prophesied to set his people free, but also to bring immense bloodshed to mankind. And, even despite his resistance, he feels himself ever tugged along by the threads of fate. We talked earlier about how the assumption of success can undercut the tension of the story. If we're rooting for you to fulfill your destiny, the assurance that you will sort of remove some of the drama whittles away at the stakes. On the flip side, if you don't want to fulfill your destiny, or the audience is hoping you'll fail, that prophecy can actually turn out to be more of a curse, a terrible impending thing that seems to draw nearer and nearer no matter what you do. Tragic, interesting, far more compelling than we tend to expect from the chosen one. Perhaps this tragic unwillingness, this reluctance in the face of fate itself, makes the exalted and often off-puttingly lustrous chosen one seem just a little more like us, the audience. Just a person facing unimaginable responsibility. We talked earlier about the problems that can arise out of using generic nobodies as a chosen hero, but from the perspective of the audience, hungry for a good story, a worthy journey, perhaps there is no one better qualified to be the chosen hero than the least qualified person. Imagine the difficulty of being selected for a task to which you know you are not equal. Imagine the anxiety of trying to figure out how you can possibly measure up. Imagine asking, why me? Imagine the immense sense of imposter syndrome you would experience. Do you lack skill? Do you lack strength? Do you lack courage, confidence, wisdom? These flaws of the nobody counterintuitively turn you into an individual instead of a faceless Mary Sue. The ways that you grapple with them strip away that neutral mask and make you your own hero, not just a surrogate for us. Not so easy being the chosen one, is it? I think it can get a little ridiculous when authors use this concept as an easy out for making their characters special or compelling them to action, But look how full of intrigue the dynamics of this concept can be if you pay attention to the person experiencing the prophecy. It's rough being the tool of the cosmos. Rough, with a few silver linings. As easy, as tired, as simple as this archetype can be, I think it still deserves respect, and I think it still deserves to be taken advantage of, where appropriate. The cosmos is calling you, hero. No guarantee the journey will be a good one. No guarantee you're worthy of the mantle. No guarantee you'll want any of this. But have hope. Somehow, under the watchful eyes of fate, those very faults are what will make your story memorable. Sadly, that's just about all the advice I can offer you on your journey right now. Because usually we only upload about one video a week and this is it. But if you don't want to wait, if you want to see our next video right now, you can. It's already out over on Nebula. Actually, we've got a bunch of stuff over there that will never come out here on YouTube. Like this video about why artists depict angels in the way that they do, or this one about one of the weirdest epic fantasy stories ever written. We even have a whole series over there about some of our favorite authors and why they make the things that they do. You can watch it all over on our streaming platform, Nebula. And if you're not familiar, honestly, Nebula is just a paradise for video creators. They don't just pay us some one-time bounty to mention them like a sponsor does. We get paid every time someone watches our content over there. We even get paid part of the subscription when people sign up while they're watching our stuff. Watching Nebula is supporting the creators you love, which is why so many of us have flocked to it. We have friends like Extra Credits, Low Spec Gamer, and Legal Eagle over there, all of whom have their own original content on Nebula, just like us. It's a little like YouTube. If YouTube had zero ads, a guarantee of high-quality content, more content from the creators you love, and paid its creators to make whatever they want. As if all that weren't enough, Nebula isn't just a streaming platform either. It's also an educational platform. Nebula has actually done something pretty incredible here and funded creators to make entire classes where they tell you how to, be a creator. Matt from Extra Credits talks about how to be prepared for your dream job when the opportunity to snag it arises. Alex from Low Spec Gamer talks about all the fine details of running a complex project like a YouTube channel, down to things like scheduling and hiring. Devin Stone from Legal Eagle gives you a little legal advice, which in the minefield of YouTube can definitely come in handy. We have learned so much from these classes. If you look carefully, you will absolutely be able to tell how it's influenced our channel. Okay, so, more Tale Foundry than you've ever seen before, zero ads, an entire original Tale Foundry series, Worldsmiths, more content from other creators, educational courses that could potentially make your career as a creator. Like I said, a paradise for video creators, but also probably just the best way to watch indie content on the internet. And the best part? If you sign up now at our link, go.nebula.tv/talefoundry, you'll get your first year of Nebula for less than $3 a month. I'm honestly not sure how they can afford to make it so cheap, but I'm definitely not complaining. I would hurry and sign up while that price point lasts because that's about as cheap as it gets in the world of streaming. Again, that's go.nebula.tv/talefoundry. Go sign up and see Tale Foundry like you've never seen it before. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next time. Bye!